Okay. So we are starting Nectar instruction. Uh, we have been talking about this text one from this amazing book Nectar of Instruction, written by Rupa Goswami. So all the devotees practicing Krishna consciousness, they are known as Rupanugas, which means followers of Rupa Goswami. So we are following Rupa Goswami instruction in this book, Nectar of Instruction. And we discussed about who is Godas, what is our objective uh, to become in the text one is to Godas or Goswami. So from Godas to Goswami, how do we do that? Is what we are discussing in the text one. So the text one is, so we'll recite text one and then we'll go from there. वाचो वेगम मनसक्रोध वेगम जीवा वेगम उपद्रोपस्त वेगम एतान् वेगान् विषयेत धीरा सर्वां विमां पृथ्वीं सुशिष्यात्. Translation: a sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, mind's demands, actions of anger, and urges of tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world, which means he has become a Goswami now. So, when we were discussed about it in the last class, we took Prabhupada purport, and Prabhupada is first explaining about atonement, right? Like how we should atone, um, how should we atone about our something wrong that we have done in our life, right? So in that context, we we look at couple of examples, right? One is elephant's bath. So Parikshit Maharaj is saying that what is the use of this atonement, like like an elephant who takes elaborate bath when he enters into a river, and when he comes out, he again starts rolling over the sand. So it's again make himself dirty. So the root cause of all our sinful activities is the desire to enjoy separately from Krishna. uh, So let's say I did some sinful activity and I'm very fearful about it, that oh, probably I will have to go to hell, I will have to suffer the reactions of my sinful activities, or what I'm suffering today for anything that is going in my mind. That is also the result of some sin that I have done in the past. So no matter it is a past sin, current sin that I am going through, if I go and repent just like that, just like, okay, please forgive me, my Lord, I have done it, then it has no value actually. Why? Because the very root of the problem, which means to enjoy separately from Krishna, is not being addressed. So that is why it is compared as elephant path. We discussed about grass cutting. Grass cutting is also an example. Like we just want to cut the grass, but we don't want to uproot it. So if we keep cutting the grass, grass will keep sprouting back again and again. So if we want to get rid of the grass, we'll have to uproot it. Similarly, sinful desires are there. Just atonement, simple atonement, going and begging forgiveness will not help. We'll have to get rid of those sinful tendencies. So these are more examples. Thief arrested by police, but he's again committing the crime, going back to prison again. And Christians going to church for confessing sins. What is the use of that? So we discussed all these examples, right? Um, yeah. We discussed about the nature of the material world, which is like 20 paise ka circus, which means with this enjoying mentality, we'll coming back to this word again and again and again. So this atonement is of no use. And we have all these experiences like drinking habit. I also used to drink before coming into Krishna consciousness, and I used to think a lot that I have to drop this drinking habit, but I was never able to do that. But after coming into Krishna consciousness, it became like very easy. Because that very desire of drinking doesn't bother me anymore. And then we summarized our last class that we what do we do to get rid of sinful tendencies. First is we seek association of pure devotees. We follow the four regulatory principles and we engage in meaningful services. Okay. Any questions so far that we discussed last class? Or please feel free to interrupt. We'll take this as a discussion, right? So wherever you feel like, please feel free to interrupt. Um, so today, let's first discuss text one. Let's see if it is here. Yeah. So let's first discuss text one. So we discussed the first paragraph about atonement, and then Prabhupada was explaining that real atonement means coming to the real knowledge, right? Um, and now we are going to discuss the actual translation of the text. So text is Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam. So three vegs are discussed in beginning. Vacho Vegam, the veg of speaking, Manasa Krodha Vegam, and the veg of mind, and veg of Krodha. Growth is also very important to control actually. So we'll discuss it. So these three thing urges we'll discuss today. Uh, Vacho, Manasa, and Krodha. These three vague we will discuss today, and other three we will discuss in the next class. Okay. So we'll start with this paragraph which talks about Vacho Vegam. Neha Mataji, would you like to read it?
Sure. First, one must control his speaking power. Every one of us. Okay, what happened? Sorry.
Sure.
Every one of us has the power of speech. As soon as we get an opportunity, we begin to speak. If we do not speak about Krishna consciousness, we speak about all sorts of nonsense. A toad in a field speaks by croaking, and similarly, everyone who has tongue wants to speak, even if all he has to say is nonsense. The croaking of the toad, however, simply invites the snake. Please come here and eat me. Nevertheless, although it is an inviting death, the toad goes on croaking. The talking of materialistic men and impersonalist Mayavadis philosophers may be compared to the croaking of the frogs. They are always speaking nonsense and thus inviting death to catch them. Controlling speech, however, does not mean self-imposed silence, the external process of Mauna, as Mayavadi philosophers think. Silence may appear helpful for some time, but ultimately it proves a failure. The meaning of controlled speech conveyed by Sri Rupa Goswami advocates the positive process of Krishna Katha, engaging the speaking process in glorifying the Supreme Lord Krishna. The tongue can thus glorify the name, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Lord. The preacher of Krishna Katha is always beyond the clutches of death. This is the significance of controlling the urge to speak.
Hmm? So usually, when we hear about controlling the speech, we think that probably we'll have to practice Mauna. We'll have to keep quiet. But that is not the meaning of controlling the speech, is what Prabhupada is saying. And it is very interesting, right? If you see this line, Prabhupada says, the toad in the field speaks by croaking. And similarly, everyone who has a tongue wants to speak, even if he has to say all nonsense. Very beautifully, Prabhupada is actually bringing out our anarthas in front of us. This is you. You speak all nonsense like that, showing us the mirror that you are like a toad just speaking nonsense, bringing our anarthas in front of us. The other thing, immediately Prabhupada brings the example of a snake, that by the speaking of toad is like inviting the snake to eat him. Now, what is it? What is the meaning of this? I would let us discuss this. You see, there is something called prana shakti. So this prana shakti is not only available in this body that we carry in this life, but this is also available to the entire material universe. Entire material universe is given some prana shakti, and whatever is there in the universe is also having some prana shakti. See, what is the meaning of prana shakti? Prana shakti means you have some power by which you can do what all these things: thinking, imagining, moving, speaking, and understanding. So when we think, imagine, move, speak, or understand, we actually lose some of the limited quota of prana shakti that we have. You understood my point? Let's say someone has 100 bucks and there's $100, he has to do a lot of things. He has to buy a lot of things. So because he has the limited quota in his hand, he will spend that amount very wisely, isn't it? So this prana shakti is of very limited quota that we carry every life. So in this life, we are giving some prana shakti, very limited quota. With that limited quota, we have to think, imagine, move, speak, and understand. And as soon as this quota is finished, we are finished in this life. Another life, another limited quota of prana shakti we are given. You know. So this prana shakti is very, very important. And this is available to everyone, to everything in this material creation. So when we are given in this life and we come into the process of Krishna consciousness, and when we understand that our ultimate purpose is to go back home, back to Godhead, then we have to make sure that we spend this prana shakti very effectively. Because if we will misuse this, then we will miss the opportunity to go back home, back to Godhead, isn't it? If we utilize this prana shakti very nicely, then we can go to Krishna. But if we misutilize it, then again we will stuck in this process of repeated birth and death. Now, even though prana shakti, with this prana shakti we do a lot more things, but the text is starting with vacho vegam, which means the text is first focusing to control what is speaking. Mm. So you see, everything starts from speaking and everything comes from speaking, comes to speaking. For example, what I am thinking and what I am doing is actually what I am speaking. Hmm? So the thinking, imagining, understanding, that comes down to speaking. Similarly, what I am speaking about, I start thinking, imagining, or understanding, or moving for that, isn't it? So what I so so ultimately things I'm doing in my mind coming to speaking, and what I am speaking is coming back to thinking. So speaking is actually very important, correct? If I can control speaking, I can control a lot of other vegas in my life. Hmm? Like vacho vegam, manasa krodh vegam. So manasa and krodh can also be controlled by speaking. One speaker was saying that this tongue doesn't have bones. It doesn't have bone, right? It's like some muscle. Hmm? But it has full power to break the bones. You speak some bad to some you know some criminal, and then he will break the bone. So like that he was joking. So but it has a very powerful, it is a very powerful tool. But nowadays, what we do, prana shakti of speaking is wasted in political talks. See, what is the use of this political talks or sport talks? What unnecessarily, people just keep talking. Oh, I follow this politician, I follow that politician. What is the value add of talking like that? Hmm? One time, one sannyasi was sharing that he went to Mayapur, and there was one devotee in our Mayapur temple. So he just casually asked him, "Hey, what is happening in your Delhi, huh?" This devotee was from Delhi. So he just asked him, "What is happening in your Delhi?" And he was Pujari. This devotee was Pujari in Mayapur. He said, "Maharaj, हमें नहीं पता कुछ भी. We don't know anything what is happening there." So Maharaj was saying that he was feeling little ashamed by asking such materialistic question, because he was a pujari. He will wake up at 3 o'clock in morning. He is doing his service until 8 o'clock. Then he will have prasadam, have some half an hour rest. Again, he will go and prepare prasadam for the deities. So back to back, he has some services until late night. He doesn't have any time for anything else other than Krishna. You know so, but if we look at our life, we are spending probably half an hour, 1 hour for Krishna, 2 hour for Krishna. But what are we doing in rest of the things? We are actually doing prajalpa. This is called prajalpa, not using tongue properly in Krishna service and doing other things. It is called prajalpa. Gossips, office, home, friends, materialistic music, songs. Before coming into Krishna consciousness, I was very fond of singing songs. Like, I mean, not like in a big audience, but for myself, I just used to sing. And after coming also, those songs were still I was singing in my mind. Now we become so addicted to them. So singing has such a power. Even though once singing becomes, once the tongue get used to of something, then it it vibrates in your mind. Similarly, with Hare Krishna Mahamantra, when we start chanting and we become such an expert chanter, then this chanting keeps going in our mind. And this is the best state for a sadhaka, not these materialistic songs. And we talk about different conspiracy theories, oh, he did that, he has done that, so like that. So we are wasting a lot of our prana shakti in today's world. And what are we achieving out of it? Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani, jathare shanam. What is the meaning? Punarapi jananam. I am taking birth again and again. Punarapi maranam. I am dying again and again. Punarapi janani. I am accepting mother again and again. I am accepting the womb of a mother again and again. Jathare shanam. This is very, very difficult to overcome. So this birth process is very, very painful. Even I remember first time when my wife, delivered a baby. I was in a hospital, so I was in the room when she was delivering it, and I was thinking, my God, I was feeling like I did some crime because looking at that pain, the mothers go through, it's very, very painful. So what to talk about the baby inside the womb of the mother? What pain he is going through? In Bhagavatam, it is said that the baby prays from the Lord when he is in the womb of a mother. He prays from the Lord that, Lord, this is such a painful condition I am in. Please take me out of this painful condition, and I will worship you once I will come out of this painful condition. So this is not. So we don't want to get into this painful condition again and again. We don't want punarapi jananam, punarapi manaram, punarapi janani jataration. We don't want that. So what are we doing out of all this prana shakti of speaking that we are wasting? We are accepting new and new bodies. In Bhagavatam, there is this shloka. It says, Ayurharati va pumsam udyan ashtam chayan asho tashyarte yat shanunita uttam shloka vartaya. Very interesting. It says, Ayurharati ve pumsan. It says this Ayu is Harati. Harati means kidnap. This Ayu is being kidnapped. Ayu is being kidnapped. By whom? By Sun. Sun is kidnapping this um, our Ayu, our age. How is kidnapping our Ayu? By rising and by setting. So every time we see sun rising or sun setting, we should understand that we are losing that one day. We lost one day of our life, like that. We are coming closer to death. So the translation says both by rising by setting the sun decreases the duration of our life. Decreases the duration of life for everyone except one who utilizes the time by discussing topics of all good personality of Godhead. So you might be thinking that even the person who is discussing the pastimes of the Lord, he is also he also he is also in the material world. He also has to die one day. So how is it that the rising and setting of sun is a death for everyone, but not a death for someone who is reciting the glories of the Lord? Hmm? Because this shloka says, one who utilizes the time by discussing topics of all good personality of Godhead, for him, the duration of life is not decreasing, but for other it is decreasing. See, actually, who is discussing the pastime of the Lord, Krishna is giving him enough intelligence by bringing him closer to Krishna. So he is actually, by discussing the pastimes of the Lord, he is coming closer to Krishna. He is coming closer to immortality. So for so you will see that he has died, but in a spiritual sense, he is actually going back home, back to Godhead. He is not dying. Death means you are accepting another body, and then another body, and then another body, and then another body. But for the person who is continuously reciting the glories of the Lord, that person is simply going to the other world, back home, back to Godhead. So for that, he is just dropping his body. So his death, his death and the death of the materialistic person are completely different in that sense. So what is the use of speaking which actually results in nothing? No use, right? Srila Prabhupada gives an example of frog. Actually, in Prabhupada, we were just discussing about it. So a male frog, when he makes sounds from his mouth, he attract what? He thinks that I am singing song and I will attract a she frog. Huh? But instead of she frog, what he who is inviting? He's inviting snake, which means he's inviting simply death. So similarly, in this world, we must be speaking big things, big things. Oh, who he that? Or you don't know about this politician. He was this, he did that, and now he's a big this thing. So we try to show off how much we know, how much we know, how much we know. We try to show off so much. I know about politics. I know about music. I know about um, some anything. We just as soon as an opportunity comes, we start showing off how much I know. But like frog, what are we actually doing by showing off? We are simply coming closer to death. We are not achieving anything. On the contrary, if we speak about Krishna, we come closer to Krishna, isn't it? So see such a big difference in the result that we are getting. It's the same $100 that we have in our hand, but the way we are spending these $100 makes a huge difference in our life. So we were just discussing that if devotees are spending time in talking about Krishna, then how much big difference it makes, you know. And we discussed about in Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita when we discussed the four important shlokas from Bhagavad Gita. So this is one of them. So Krishna says, Matchitta Matgat Prana Bodhayanta Parasparam Kathayantascha Mam Nityam Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. Krishna says, Matchitta Madgat Prana. For them, I am the ultimate source. Matlab, they keep talking about me. Matchitta Madgat Prana. For them, I am their prana. And Bodhyanta Parasparam, they keep talking about me. Bodhyanta Parasparam. Kathyantascha Mam Nityam. They always keep talking about me. And Tushyanti Charamati, they take pleasure in discussing about me. And later, Krishna says that what I do, I give them the intelligence by which they can come to me. So this tongue that we are using in talking about Krishna, bringing more souls into Krishna consciousness. You know, when you start preaching in your family, that oh, I learned this thing today. Krishna is so amazing. Then Krishna, not only you, when you are speaking, you are hearing, or the person who you are talking to is hearing. Actually, Krishna is hearing, and he becomes pleased when his devotees talks about him. And he becomes so pleased. Krishna says that I give them the intelligence by which they can come to me. You see, a lot of us have the experience. When we start reading about Bhagavad Gita, we start developing the desire to actually read it from someone else, to know more about Krishna, isn't it? How does it happen that suddenly you get to know of someone who tell you about some course which is happening on Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam on some literature? So the little desire when Krishna sees that, oh, he wants to know about me, he immediately starts making facilities. So we starts understanding about him. So it's not just a we are hearing or the hearer is hearing. Actually, Krishna is hearing, and he makes all the arrangement. He becomes very happy when he sees that his devotees wants to know more about him. So and the vacho vegam is also important to control the mind. You know, so like we were discussing in the beginning, what we speak, we actually start meditating about them, about 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 that thing. So when we will speak about Krishna, then what would happen? Our mind automatically will think about Krishna. We'll discuss about it more in detail. This is another purport actually. This I uh, took from the purport of Srila Prabhupada. Um, let's see who can read it. Jai Prabhu, would you like to read it?
Yeah, I'll try. My voice is a little bad, but let's see.
It's okay.
Uh, in his Anuvriti explanation of Upadesh Samrita, Srila Bhakti Siddhant Saraswati Thakur writes that our material identification creates three kinds of urges: the urge to speak, the urge or demands of the mind, and the demands of the body. When a living entity falls victim to these three types of urges, his life becomes inauspicious. One who practices resisting these demands or urges is called tapasvi, or one who practices austerities. By such tapasya, one can overcome victimization by the material energy, the external potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yeah, this is very important actually. You see, As soon as Prabhupada is saying, as soon as one comes into the material identification, which means as soon as he comes into the material world, he immediately rewarded to these three urges actually, he will have the urge to speak. He will have some demands that keep coming from his mind and or from his body like that. So these three urges will keep coming as soon as one comes into the material world. And now Prabhupada is writing, which I put that in bold also, when a living entity falls victim to these three type of urges, his life becomes inauspicious. Like someone is in a desert and having rasgulla, huh? But other person, or let's say he's having rasgulla, very nice rasgulla, he's enjoying that rasgulla, and then suddenly what he does, he takes the sand from the desert and put in the mouth. Can you imagine? So there is a vast difference in the taste of rasgulla and sand in the desert, isn't it? So it's very inauspicious to have sand when rasgulla is available. So similarly, in the material world, like in the desert, sand is lot of sands are sand. I mean, all over sand is available. But similarly, in the material world, or we have this urge to speak or demands of mind. This is everywhere. Like everywhere, everyone wants to speak. Everyone is having a lot of desires. So lot of demands from the mind, and everyone has a demands of body also. But very few of them wants to become yogi, which means they want to control these urges. Hmm. So as soon as we are stuck in these three urges, we are not controlling them, which means we are living very inauspicious life. What is inauspicious life? Inauspicious life means we the the life contaminated with material energy, which means we are preparing our next. We are not preparing our next life, which means we will keep rotating in this material world. Inauspicious life means we will keep rotating in the material world in a simple sense. An auspicious life means we are using our intelligence to control these urges. So when we do that, it's called tapasvi. When we do that, we are called tapasvi. Hmm. There's a dirty floor. If someone will sit on the dirty floor, then obviously his trouser will get dirty, isn't it? So his material world is like that. If someone is sitting in the material world, he will become dirty. So what he has to do, he actually has to stand up because he will sit, then his cloth will become dirty. If he will stand, he can save his clothes not to become dirty. But to standing is like tapasya, isn't it? Like sitting comfortably you can sit, but standing is tapasya. You'll have to do some. You'll have to be really tapasvi to stand. So spiritual life is little tapasya we'll have to do in our spiritual life. You know why? Because we don't want to become dirty. We don't want to become inauspicious, right? So that's why Prabhupada says one who practices resisting these demands or urges is called tapasvi. One who practices austerities. By such tapasya, one can overcome the victimization by the material energy. So this is speaking is also like that. If we talk such nonsense, which is, I mean, if we talk something which is related with material energy, material things, then we get what we speak. Same as simple as that. If we talk spiritual, we will become spiritual. Now, how to control the urge to speak? You see, um, some people say that we cannot all the time speak about Krishna because let's say we are in office, we'll have to we'll have to talk about office affairs in the sense you will have office meetings, so you'll have to present your stuff, you'll have to hear them like that. Similarly, in office, in home, you'll have to do a lot of household activities. So talking about Krishna is might not be possible all the time. So what I have heard from senior Vaishnavas is that we can divide our talks in three zones: white zone, black zone, and gray zone. What are these zones? See, white zone means pure Krishna conscious talks, pure Krishna conscious talks. Like you and me meet, and then we start discussing about Krishna or anything related with Krishna. For example, services, or recently one devotee called me and he was asking me about initiation. How should he get initiated? From whom? Like that. So it should be from related with the spiritual life. So it's called White John Talks. We are not talking anything materialistic. It's like White John Talks. Now, Black John Talks. Black John means which is really condemned to talk about. We should not definitely be talked about, like talking about movies. What talking about cricket? What is the point of talking about this player or that player? Recently, I think some World Cup match or IPL World Cup, something like that was there, and whenever I will get a call, then people talk about IPL and things like, I mean, cricket, and I was like, what rubbish. What is the use of talking about someone who is not, who has played well or has not played well? What are we trying to achieve? This, whatever that player is doing, he is gonna earn his credit. He's gonna earn, but what are we getting out of that? So we are simply wasting our time. So there will be a lot of talks in the black zone that we do. And as a devotee of Krishna, we know the importance of a spiritual life, isn't it? So we should not be doing it. So like completely black zone, we should definitely not be doing that. Uh, but you will end up in sometime we will end up in a discussion live where these things are happening. So we should avoid doing that. But if we do, let's say, then we should try to come in a gray zone. What is gray zone? Gray zone is like is where Krishna might not be in center, where we are not discussing about Krishna, but those are not like those are also not talks like which we should completely condemn. Hmm? So let's say let's say talking about how politics um, is helping religion to grow, hmm, or how meat eating is spoiling the society, like that. There are some talks which we can do which not be fully Krishna conscious talks, but those are actually good for the um, I mean those are actually better than black john. So when we end up in some black john discussions, then we can, what I preferably do, like let's say in office we are having lunch and people are just talking about this nonsense, then I just try to find a moment where I can raise a topic which is of gray zone. For example, like that, I will say, um, I will say, oh, this Yogi ji is doing very good in Uttar Pradesh. His religion is going nice, isn't it? And then let people talk about it. Some people say, yeah, temples are being constructed. I went to that temple. Some other person will say, no, he's very fanatic about religion. This and but let they are still talking about indirectly about religion. So like that, we can find some topics which are not completely prohibited, which do not spoil our Krishna conscious completely. But in a way, they are not like talks which will spoil our mood of practicing sadhaka. Yes. See, sometimes I feel that as a when we start in Krishna consciousness, we also start taking interest in such talks, which is not good. Hmm? We also take interest in talking about um, uh, what other relatives are doing. Huh? That relative has done that, this relative has done that, like that. And we do all sort of research by talking to different people. Oh, he did this. What are you saying? Really? Oh, then so like that, we start taking interest in worldly talks. So we should remind ourselves again and again the importance of spiritual life. So we become fixed up, you know. Um, there is one shloka in second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is saying about focus. Krishna is saying those are focused in the spiritual life. For them, it becomes very easy to go back home, back to Godhead. So how do we become focused when we know that this is important for me? Like a big businessman in our family, he was telling that in his youth, he will sleep at 12 o'clock and he will wake up at 3 o'clock because he had to, for his business purpose, he has to go to like 200 kilometers far to get some shipment, like that. So he was saying, and I was thinking that he was so focused that he has to earn money that even 3 hours of sleep in a day is enough for him. and we know the importance of a spiritual life, but still when we sleep at 12 o'clock we start giving an excuse not to go to Mangal Aarti at 4:30. Oh, I slept at 12 o'clock, it became difficult for me. And these materialistic people are actually more focused in their materialistic goal than we as a spiritualist are focused in a spiritual life. So we have to hear a lot actually to understand the importance of a spiritual life. So I would request you also, there is ISKCON Desire Tree. There is ISKCON Desire Tree. I will also share some lectures actually on our group. So you can go to this website. There are tons of lectures are there. So many lectures are there. You can hear them. What I will do today, I will share some link from this website, and you can start listening those lectures in your time. So that way, it becomes very important for us to remind about the importance of Krishna consciousness. Then sometimes we stuck in the useless talks, and we cannot avoid them. But like whenever I go to India, some of the relatives are like that, they are not into Krishna consciousness, so they will start talking about something or other which I have least interest. So what do? We keep chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra in our mind, because you are stuck there. Okay, you can't move, it will feel like too rude to be move like that. So okay, you have to be there, you stay there, but then keep chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra in mind. I mean, just keep nodding your heads. Yes, yes, yeah, correct. Okay, like that. But in your mind, you just keep chanting Hare Krishna. And this will indirectly help to your regular chanting also. So if regularly, let's say you're chanting 4 rounds, you will feel that your rounds are getting increased now because you are practicing Mahamantra, recitation of Mahamantra in your mind. Actually, recitation of Mahamantra in mind is very, very powerful. So we should be doing that. Um, yeah. See, we all have this tendency to speak. The urge to speak is there. Like Rupa Goswami saying, Vacho Vegam. So Veg is there. We are talking about controlling it, which means Veg is always there. We should control it. So why not utilize this Veg properly? Veg is there. Hmm? One of my god brothers were recently here in Dallas, and he was very nicely. He was saying that when we go to a big person, if you go to a minister, prime minister, or very rich man, you will have some fruits or something you will uh, take to offer him. Similarly, whenever we go to temple, I know Neha Mataji does that every week. He comes to our temple here on Sunday. She carries every week she will carry something with her to offer to the lordships. So why not carry a shloka? Hmm. we can we can learn a shloka, recite some shloka, learn it, and let us offer that shloka to the Lord whenever we visit. Actually, that is the best way to control the tongue. And the shlokas are very powerful. They keep vibrating in our mind and purify our mind also. So it's very, very powerful. Recently I was sharing this shloka with one of my devotee friend. So we were discussing some problems, and then I said Tatte Nukampa Su Samikshamano. So Tatte Nukampa. So when we keep waiting for the Anukampa, for the mercy of the Lord, how are we waiting? Su Samikshamano, very eagerly. We are very eagerly waiting for the mercy of the Lord. And Bhunja Nevatmikatam Vipakam. What does it mean? It means we are waiting for the mercy of the Lord very eagerly, and in between, whatever pain and pleasures are coming, we are just waiting for that. We are just tolerating them. And what happens with that? So it's like a thirsty person. There is a thirsty person on the road. He's very thirsty. What he's waiting for? He is very eagerly waiting for some drops of water. Very eagerly he's waiting. So some drops of water he's waiting. That one day I will get some drops of water. And in between, some people are coming, they are saying, Hey, beggar, sitting here, huh? They're insulting him. Some people are coming, they are saying, Oh, I'm not able to supply you what otherwise I could have given you. I feel so pity on you. But he is tolerating everything. For what? He just need one thing, few drops of water. He is very thirsty. Similarly, tatte nukampa susumiksha mado. We are very thirsty for the mercy of the Lord. We are simply waiting, eagerly waiting actually. And in between, their pain and pleasures are coming. Getting a promotion is a pleasure. Not getting the things that I want is a pain. but I am tolerating them all for the mercy of the Lord. Then what is the result? It says Jivoti Mukti Pade Sadhaibhak, which means Mukti. He becomes the righteous person to claim Mukti, the liberation. Claim, like medical claim, na? If you put a if you request for if you record a medical claim, then they cannot reject it. Why? Because you are paying the premium every month or annually, whatever you are paying the premium, so they cannot reject the claim. So this is the premium that we pay by tolerating the pain and pleasures, by waiting for the mercy of the Lord, by continuously practicing. How do we show that we are waiting for you, my Lord? By sincerely practicing devotional service. We show that we are waiting for you, my Lord. And in between, whatever pain pleasures are coming, we are tolerating them. Then at the end of the life, we can claim that I need liberation, sir. Why? Because I paid the premium. I tolerated, I did your devotional service. Please, you please approve my claim. Give me mukti from this repeated um, birth, death, old age, and disease. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Hmm. So this is also very powerful to control the tongue. And it is okay to practice mona also sometimes. We cannot all the time talk about Krishna. So we can, Prabhupada says that it is good to keep quiet, to keep quiet for some time, stay absorbed in Krishna, what we hear. We can meditate about what we hear about Krishna, or we can just keep quiet, practice mona. It's not good to always keep talking actually. So it's good to practice mona. Okay, so this is about Vacho Vegam. Hmm? Please feel free to interrupt if you have any questions. Huh? Now we are going to discuss about the importance of controlling mind's demands. See, mind is very powerful. This is a shloka from Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter, 34th text. Arjuna says, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balvadram tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkram. So Arjuna is saying, Chanchala hi mana Krishna. Hey Krishna, this mana is very chanchala. It's very chanchal. And then he says, it is so chanchal, my lord. I feel that I can control the wind. In fact, he was able to control the wind. He will shoot an arrow, and the can you imagine? He will shoot an arrow. The air is flowing south, and then change the direction. It will flow to north. Such a powerful warrior he is. Um, but then he is saying uh, Balvadram. Balvadham means that this mind is very powerful. Even though I can control the wind, I cannot control the mind. And we all know this. So, what is the function of mind actually? It has two things. One is it dwells on sense objects. So, for example, I want to have a nice job. I want to get placed in a nice company. I want to have a nice car, nice home, nice wife or husband. It just keep dwelling on those sense objects. I just want this, and it keeps making plan around it, isn't it? It dwells on the sense objects. I need this, and then keeps preparing about all our preparation goes in and dwelling. First, it starts with sense objects, and then sense gratification. Huh? I have this, so I want to now gratify it. I want to gratify my senses to the fullest extent so I can satisfy it. But unfortunately, we are never satisfied, isn't it? Whatever we thought we'll achieve it and we'll become satisfied, ironically, we achieve it and we become more dissatisfied. That is the nature of mind. Prabhupada used to say, unless one is really crazy for sense gratification, he will uh, he cannot he will not accept the material life, which means materialistic people are really crazy after sense gratification. Otherwise it is very obvious for people to understand that this material life has no value actually. So that is the function of mind. It dwells on sense objects and he plans for sense gratification, and what he gets out of these two: lust. Lust doesn't only mean attraction towards opposite sex. Lust also means to have the desire to enjoy something which we don't own. Huh? For example, everything belongs to the Lord, but if I want to enjoy that for my own senses, that is lust. Hmm. So as much we try to satisfy our senses, to that extent we are actually trying to satisfy our lust. And lust is very amazing thing. How Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, lust is like satisfying the lust is like pouring ghee in a fire. As much as much ghee you put in the fire, that much fire increases, isn't it? Similarly, as much we try to satisfy lust, that much lust increases more and more. So we have to stop putting pouring ghee in the fire. That's the only solution to to burn the fire completely. Okay. So we understood the function of mind, how it turns into lust. Yeah, some of the examples, like Ravana. Ravan wanted to satisfy his desire. Actually, no, not many people know he was very lusty. One time he raped one Apsara in heavenly planet, and then Apsara gave him the curse that next time if you will touch a woman, then you will be burnt into ashes. That is the reason he never touched Mata Sita. Otherwise, he was very, very lusty. He was just trying to convince Mata Sita to be with him. He was so lusty. And what happened to him? We all know that, right? So that is a result of lust. We are destroyed completely. Hiranyakashipu wanted that all the living entities in the world should accept me as the supreme personality of Godhead. I am the supreme person. I am controlling everything except me. And everybody was accepting him actually. Only one person was not accepting him. Who? His own son, Prahlad Maharaj. But you see the nature of the lust. Huh? Why not just this one person is not accepting me as the supreme person? This one person should also accept me. Everyone is accepting him. Even Indra, um, uh, all the Indra, who is the king of the demigods, when he's accepting means everyone else was also accepting him. What to talk about normal living beings, you know? These demigods in heavenly planets, they also paid obeisances to him. Oh, you are the supreme person. But his own son, only his own son was not accepting him. But you see, the lust to enjoy in this material world is so powerful that he wanted, why this one person is not accepting me? And and we all know what happened to him. Prahlad was a pure devotee of the Lord. He took Krishna's shelter, and then eventually Narsimha Dev came, and then he killed Hiranyakashipu. King Bali, he's the elder brother of Sugriv. Actually, after he had a fight with Sugriv, he wanted to enjoy wife of Sugriv. He said, I will Sugriv and I will enjoy his wife. Right? And what happened to him eventually? Lord Ram came and he killed him. Okay, so how do we control mind's demands? See, this is very powerful actually. I remember one time when I was new in Krishna consciousness, this method was shared to me by one of the senior devotee also in our Ghaziabad temple. He said, actually, you can chant loudly if you want to control the mind. So I used to go on top of my house and the roof, and then I will complete my rounds there by loudly chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And so it's like mind is throwing some demand, and you suddenly you start chanting loudly. So mind is like, oh, what happened to him? It becomes alert, not to disturb you. So loudly chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra is powerful. Then nice thumping kirtan. We have a lot of kirtaniyas in ISKCON. If you go to YouTube, I will share the link with you for kirtans also. I'll keep this as action item. His Holiness Indradhan Swami Maharaj has a lot of nice kirtans actually, and Madhav Prabhu also has very nice kirtans. So we should be hearing that whenever you are driving. Have some recorded lectures and kirtans in your car. And I don't know how many of you dance also, but it's very good to dance alone also in the room. When have some nice thumping kirtan and dance alone in front of the Lord. This is very powerful. Yeah, zoom in, zoom out the life. See, at this stage, we might be crying for something in our life, isn't it? And mind keeps sending a lot of demands. We need this, need that, do that, and we are not at all peaceful. Huh? But you see, when we are practicing Krishna consciousness and eventually we'll go back home, back to Godhead, when we are in the spiritual world, and we will look back at our life, this life, the problems that we are going through, we will actually be thankful that, thank God, my Lord, you gave all these problems to me. Why? Because when you gave all these problems, I actually became more serious in my spiritual life. So thank you so very much. So at this stage, when all these problems are bothering me, why I am so disturbed about them? Because eventually all of them are going to lead me to my ultimate goal, which is go back home, back to Godhead. So we'll have to little zoom out. We'll have to zoom out all these problems and look from bigger perspective, that why I am bothering about all of them as much I should not be. Hmm. So if there is a zoom out, we see all of this, and we look at them as an opportunity to increase my sadhana, to increase my rounds, to increase my association with devotees, to increase my hearing and reading Srila Prabhupada books, Srila Prabhupada lectures. So this zoom out is very helpful. Otherwise, tiny things, very tiny things disturbs the mind. Like you put a small stone or rock piece in an ocean. Ocean is very peaceful. You put a stone and immediately you see the waves coming on it. Mind is like that. Very small disturbance. It agitates the mind, isn't it? So when we zoom out things, it becomes very easy to look at all things in our mind with a bigger perspective. Vandanam, we should have some favorite prayers that we should be reciting. Huh? Whenever I drive my car, and then I made this habit of hearing this Vaishnav song. I just love this song. Gauranga Karuna Karo, Deen Heen Jani, Mosama Patita Prabhu, Nahi Tribhuvane. So Narottam Das Thakur is saying, Gauranga Karuna Karo. Hey, my Lord, Gauranga, please be merciful on me. Gauranga Karuna Karo. Now Gauranga can say, why do I shower my mercy on you? Please accept me because Deenheen Jani. Deenheen, you please accept me as a very fallen soul. I am a fallen soul. Please, Deenheen Jani, you consider me fallen soul. Please shower your mercy on me. And I am such a fallen soul that, like the Nahi Tribhuvane, in the three words, there is no fallen soul like me. So, here, my Lord Goranga, please, I request you, please be merciful on me. Goranga Karuna Karo Deenhin Jani, Mosama Patita Prabhu, the fallen like me, Nahi Tribhuvane, in the three words. I just love these prayers. So have some favorite pairs. You go to Vaishnav songs, there is an app, and there is an app. This is known as Vaishnav songs. If you go to your Play Store, just type Vaishnav songs. There is an app will come. You can install that app, and that this app has all the songs with the translation. So you can start memorizing the Vaishnav songs also. So whenever you are free, let's say generally mind disturbs when we are alone. I mean, chanting alone, doing things alone, your mind disturbs. So that time, we can recite these prayers. It helps a lot actually. Um, then unless one is really a madman, he cannot enjoy Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada used to say. Otherwise, Krishna consciousness is so tasty. Everyone who comes into this movement, he just hooked up, and then he brings more souls towards Krishna. Yeah, this is the practice that I started practicing um, since 2 years. So whenever we are in need, do not call materialistic people. It's not a good thing to do actually. That's how I feel, because materialistic people carry certain level of consciousness, materialistic consciousness, and in our interactions, what we actually share, we don't share knowledge, we share consciousness. Mm. So it's better to have a devotee friend, and that is why it is important to us to attend lot of devotee association. In our online association, we are connected. So we should attend more associations in temple also, the in person if possible. Have friendship with devotees. Have some devotee friend with whom you can share your heart, who understands you, you understand him, so he can also share your hearts. In text 2 or 3, Rupa Goswami will also talk about it, that we should have devotee friends. So whenever we feel low, we should talk to devotees. Just dial their number, share their heart, listen them, talk to them. It's very nice. I remember when I became a father in November 2020, I had a lot of challenges. I became father first time. So I was going through some challenges in terms of I was awake whole night taking care of daughter, then whole day my wife is awake, you know. So it was a challenging time. So that time I talked to one devotee in our community. He's a temple president now. I talked to him. He already had three children, two sons and one nice daughter. And he explained all these parenting things so nicely to me because he's a devotee himself. So he was able to give me the perspective from Vedas, from Vaishnav literatures. Um, and then he was also able to give me the uh, the perspective how we should be handling things in a social um, limitations that we have. So I was feeling very satisfied that okay, I got some perspective now. But if you talk to materialistic people, probably they are also having their own problems. So instead of helping them, they will start crying or they will become too aggressive to give you suggestions. But in devotee community, it is good that we all understand our challenges. And the best thing is Krishna is in the center. Whatever suggestions they are giving, they are keeping Krishna in the center, and around that we are talking or for our problems. So it is very good to have a devotee friend whom we can share our heart with. And this is such a powerful rule. It says dharmo rakshati rakshata. You save dharma, and dharma will save you. You protect dharma, dharma will protect you. Morning program is like that for all of us. We should have a strong morning program actually, where we wake up. Um, so if you have the habit of waking up, let's say 8 o'clock, then our target is to actually go to 4:30 in the morning. But if you already have the habit of 8 o'clock, you will not immediately come to 4:30. So develop an habit of waking up, let's say 6 a.m. in the morning, complete your rounds, have 15 minutes of hearing and reading, 15 minutes hearing, 15 minutes reading. So it's like 1.5 hour program or 2 hour program, depending on number of rounds you are chanting. And then you spend your whole day um, doing your business. But the important thing is first we prepare ourselves to fight the war with Maya. We carry in the morning, we carry Krishna with us, and then let Maya attack us in whatever way she wants. But it's better to get prepared for the war before jumping into the war, isn't it? So that's why morning program is our preparation to fight with Maya rest of the day. And this is my personal experience also. Anytime I miss morning program, I feel very bad whole day. So morning program, if we save our morning program, then morning program will save us throughout the day. Okay, now Vacho Vegam, Manasa, Krodh Vegam. Now we are discussing about Krodh Vegam. Let's see the timing. 10:33. Let me take votes here. How many of you want me to stop and take this in the next class? Jai Prabhu. Okay,
Yeah, Prabhuji, let's
let's
do it
take up
next class. Yeah.
next class. Okay. Okay, Neha Mataji, Tulsidas Prabhu. Next class, right? It's already 10:30.
Yeah, that should be good.
Okay. Okay. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to share this wisdom with all of you. Is there any question? Neha Mataji, Jai Prabhu, Tulsidas Prabhu, any question?
No.
Okay. Okay. So we'll start urges of anger and then urges of body in the next class. Thank you for joining. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.